Okay, in this video I'm just going to give a run through of a basic kind of a walkthrough of WordPress. I've got a totally out of the box install of WordPress. There's literally nothing being done to it, and excuse me, and it's at this web address here. So you could, I know it's got a second part to it. Normally your web address would just be the one to be your domain dot whatever, but I've installed it in a subdirectory just the way I did it. It doesn't make any difference. So this is effectively my URL. It's my dot whatever. So to get into the admin, which is what this video is about, you would after your URL, your domain name, or wherever it's installed, you put /, which is the one just to the underneath the question mark, that one, and then wp-admin. This here is your login. I don't know what it's called. That's the URL to your login, but sometimes this is hidden on purpose by the person who set your WordPress up. If you set your WordPress up, you'll know what this is. If it's the default, it's going to be wp-admin. If it's not wp-admin, someone should have told you what it is. So it could be absolutely anything here, but it's a particular name. The default, like I said, is wp-admin. So people will use like wp login or WordPress login or my site login or Happy Christmas. It can be anything. So in this case, I've left it, as I said, as the basic. So it's wp-admin, wp, and that dash is the little guy to the right of the 0. Okay, so just hit return or press go or whatever, and you get to the login area. So this one, you're going to have your username and password. So I'm just going to get my username and password. So that's my username, and my password is this. Now, sometimes before you get here, there's going to be a double layer login protection, because there's so many sites are hacked daily. Some hosting companies will protect by having something like this guy pop up here before you get to this box here, and it's just something like this one says human check. So it usually tells you what to write in. I know on my server it's I am not a robot, so you have to type that in, but it could be anything. Just make sure that you don't put your WordPress login in here, because it won't work. This is, if you see this, it's not looking for your username and password, even no matter what it says here. These things are typically very hard to read. But it's just something simple that you'd put in. It could be, human check or something like that, whatever it is. So you just put that in and it'll bring it to this page here. So I just got ahead of myself a bit there, but anyway, if you don't see that, you just pay no attention to it. The main thing I find is that people get mixed up between that authentication thing for the robots and the actual WordPress login, but this is the WordPress symbols on this, and it's a nice neat kind of a box, and it's not dialogue either. I can go to another it's not a modal dialog. I can go to another tab. The other one is a modal dialog. It won't allow you to click anywhere else. This one has links and stuff. So anyway, you get your username and password login. Okay, this that green thing is my LastPass. You can pay no attention to that. It has nothing to do with it. Okay, so this is literally what happens the first time you log in. There's nothing here except for what WordPress put in when I set it up. But this entire thing will look completely different depending upon your website. So you'll probably have lots more stuff down here. This is your dashboard. It might be completely rearranged. there's all sorts of possibilities. So I'll just try and give you a general lie of the land. This is the WordPress admin. We're in the WordPress admin area, or the back end, and some people call it the dashboard, because when you log into the WordPress admin area, it brings you straight to the dashboard, and the dashboard is what you see in front of you. I've never really found the dashboard much good, because I run mostly CMS sites, and it's kind of aimed at blogging your activities, your comments. You can do a quick post here. This is just WordPress news. This is if you wanted to start building your way. You can write your first post here. If you wanted to start building you're literally building, this is kind of help to build the website. So I'm just going to dismiss that. If you're not going to build your own website, you won't want that. That kind of disappears, I think, anyway, after a bit of use. So the dashboard, you can use, if it works for you, it works for you. The next thing I'm going to talk about is this bar across the top. So on the left, it's got this information about WordPress. It's just links to the WordPress system. The next one, it's got the name of your website. My website's just called My Blog. But you can click that or that to actually visit your website. So if I click that, it's going to go straight to my website. So this is my website. So I'm just going to click back, or I could click here and go down to dashboard. And the way I normally work it is I hold down Control when I click that, and it'll open it up in a separate tab. So I've got my front end, or sorry, my back end here, my front end here. So I can make changes here, then come around here, go to the relevant page, and refresh it and see the changes. Some people do, what they do instead is they don't do that. They just go here every time they make a change. They click here, they go to the site, they look at it, and then they just leave this bar along the top. We can remove that bar. Nobody sees that bar except for you when you're logged in. This is the front end of the site. This is what people see, minus that bar at the top. But personally, I get rid of that bar. I don't like it. But some people leave that up there, and then they can just click here to go back to the dashboard. So they go between the two like that. But it's up to you which way you want to do it. Next over is giving your updates. If somebody's managing your updates for you, you mightn't see these. If you're managing your own updates, you would just go in here, and it's the same as this, and you can just update the plugins, themes, that type of thing. Be careful if you're updating things that you have some idea of what you're doing. It's very, very easy to do, but if you have any issues with it, it's not necessarily that easy to fix. But that's that. This gives you a link to your comments. Again, WordPress has got a big blogging history, so if you've got any comments, this will tell you how many comments there are. This is a shortcut to new page, new post, new media, new user. Just to say as well that depending on your setup, some of this stuff may not appear, and other stuff probably will appear. So you kind of have to figure out what it is, depending upon your particular setup. And if you don't know what it is, just ask the person who made your website. Or if something's here that you feel you need, you could ask them to set it up for you. If something's missing that you feel like you need in this. So next over here is this. They just say howdy, and that's my name. Okay, that's just the admin. Normally that would say your name, your actual whatever name you're referred to on the website. This is a shortcut to the profile, which is the same as this down here in the user section. If you go into the profile, you can set up your color scheme here. So this has no effect on the site. This has just got to do with whatever color scheme you use when you're managing the site. This is where you get rid of that toolbar on the front end if you don't like that toolbar. You can down here the main thing down here is that you can change your password. This is where you can change your password. But there's lots of other stuff you can do here. It all depends upon your website. This one's important though, because I could make a new nickname. So I can't change my username. That unfortunately that was set up. But if I wanted to show, be visible on the website by a different name, I could just put in a new nickname here, and that's going to appear here, so I can display my name public as this. Same if I put my first name and last name in here, it'll appear here. The rest of that is all relatively self-explanatory. Okay, so that's this, and obviously you can log out over here. That leaves this section down here. So basically now there is this. I see a lot of people do that and then they get lost. They don't know what they're doing. So you can change this. So I'm just going to go back up to the dashboard because I want to explain something fundamental about how the WordPress admin area works. So everything in here is a widget. Okay, so that's what the drag box is here. So suppose I decided I wanted that over there, I can drag that over there, and so on. You can drag everything wherever you want it. And most of the WordPress system is like that. And this again has nothing got to do with how the website works or shows. It's just to do with how you manage it. So you set it up for how you want. You can also do this kind of thing, and as well as that, you can get rid of these things. So if I go to screen options, and again this is per user as well, so you could set your thing up like this, and there might be somebody else managing the website. Their one is going to look completely different to yours. So I don't want WordPress news. I untick that. If I could just get rid of all those if I wanted. And some plugins, by the way, on the dashboard will add things to them. I tend to just skip the whole dashboard, but it's interesting to show how the screen options work, because they become very important with something else. So if I just jump ahead and go to something like pages, so this is where you would add new pages and manage pages. So if I go to all pages and screen options here, I've got a different set of screen options here. If I've got 1,000 pages and 20 is not enough to show per set, I could change that to 100. And now it's gonna, there's only one on this blog now, or this website, but if there was 100 pages, or if there was 500 pages, it'd show me 5 pages of 100, rather than, you know, them all in 20-page blocks. And this is the columns, so date, the date column is disappearing there, the author. Often you get plugins will add more of these, and sometimes it's too many, they're all squashed up, you just decide what you want. If I go to the actual page itself, right, so I was looking at, that was a list of all the pages on the website. This is where I actually manage the individual page, so I'm not going to go into the details of how to actually, this is just a walkthrough, but so I can I have another video on how the editor works, that's mainly this, and another one on how to do a blog post. So page is more or less the same as a blog post. So I can go in, I've got another set here, and this is going to, if I just turn on all these, now I've got all this stuff down here, and that sometimes it'll look like that, and you can just come up here and just turn off things, that you hide things that you don't want. Make sure you don't hide something you need, and make sure you try and remember, if you can't find it here, remember look in the screen options. Every page, every kind of a, you know, whether it's a page or a media or whatever in WordPress has that screen options, and also it's the same as the dashboard. You can drag things around the place. Just don't get too mixed up with it. So posts, much the same as pages. I'm not going to explain the difference between them here, but they work in much the same way, just pages for pages and a post is for blog posts. Media items, that's where you add your all of your any photographs, files, anything like that. That's going to end up in here. If you're in a page and you make a new page and you add a photograph to the page, the photograph will end up in your media library. Excuse me. So if you make a new page or a new post, you'll be able to have access to that image in here. And you can manage the images in here, change metadata, stuff like that. Comments, you manage your comments in there. Appearance plugins, a lot of the time your developer will lock those down if somebody built the website for you, but this is where you can do lots of damage, or you can build your website. So I won't go into those very much. Same with settings, sort of, and to a certain extent tools. You probably won't use tools very much. The settings are very important to get right if you are building your own website. You want to make sure those are all set, particularly the permalinks. And the user section, so you can make new users here, and you just give them a role and fill in all the data you need. And that's about it as far as I can tell. The only thing to say is that there's other plugins will add lots and lots of other stuff here, so you'll have to figure that out individually. So that's basically it.